Welcome back to the channel, everybody. I am Mick Alphaname. There's a lot going on. The legacy financial system continues to burn. It's unbelievable. This is from CNN.com. Be careful out there, folks. And it's titled, S&P downgrades 5 U.S. banks. If they didn't have enough problems, they definitely do now. It says S&P Global Ratings downgraded five regional U.S. banks by one notch and signal a negative outlook for several others on Monday. This is after those other regulatory agencies, or whatever they're called, downgraded banks, right? We covered those. The ratings agency said in a research note that the current, quote, tough lending environment, unquote, caused it to downgrade the 5 banks. And who caused that tough lending environment? Obviously, it was the Fed. Right, which it was Janet Yellen and Jerome Powell. Both were very proud of the tightening of lending, because what did they say? We cover this. They said, hey, if we tighten lending, if they have to tighten lending enough, we might not even have to do more rate hikes. Well, we found out that was a lie. Why? Because the banks did tighten lending. It's getting very bad out here. It's very spooky right now, folks. But they continue to raise rates. I told you they were going to do that, didn't I? I told you. I know how they do, but let's continue on here. It says tough, quote unquote, lending environment caused it to downgrade the 5 banks, which includes Key Corp, Comerica Incorporated, Valley National Bank Corp, UMB Financial Corp, and Associated Bank Corp. S&P's actions come just 2 weeks after Moody's, we covered that as well, rolled financial markets after announcing similar downgrades. Things are not looking good in the U.S. economy. So now let's continue on here. It says, following the banking turmoil earlier this year that began with Silicon Valley Bank's collapse, many regional banks have had to pay higher interest rates on deposits to keep customers from pulling their funds. That's another thing. There's been a ton of deposit flight. Now, don't get me wrong. They love to write about JP Morgan Chase deposit flight. It's in the billions at this point in time, but they're not the only ones. All right. There's deposit flight everywhere. Nobody trusts the banks anymore. Right. When I say nobody, I mean very few. Right. I don't want to seem like an extremist. That's just the way that I talk, the way that I speak. Many people have been pulling their cash and their assets out of the bank. So it's pretty evenly spread around. It says higher interest rates on deposits to keep customers from pulling their funds. Here's another thing that they're concerned about. Now, let me add in a little bit of Fed Now. One thing that they're concerned about is because Fed Now allows customers to instantaneously pull their money out of banks, they're concerned about, the possibility of bank runs becoming that much easier. Yeah, welcome to the new age, right? All right. It's what you wanted, right? So that's directly eaten into their profitability. This is going to come in handy with the next article we're going to cover. Profitability. It says, and even still, many regional banks have struggled to prevent deposit outflows. Another term for that is deposit flight. Listen, the U.S. economy is walking into a period, I believe, that they have never seen before, at least not for a long time. Not this way. No, not this way. Where the people are not expecting what's coming and they're very comfortable. Look, in the past, when the economy has walked in and the people have walked into these types of situations, possibly like depression and such like that, they were comfortable being uncomfortable. These people are not comfortable being uncomfortable right now. They don't have a second plan, a plan B, so to speak, right? That's going to be interesting if things can continue to move on this trajectory. Just my humble opinion, not financial advice, just speaking off the top of my mind. It says, for instance, S&P cited Comerica's $14 billion decline in average deposits from the second quarter of last year to this year as one of the reasons for its downgrade. It also pointed to its, quote, relatively high proportion of commercial and uninsured deposits. That's another thing, folks. A lot of these banks are heavy in uninsured deposits. And now maybe you didn't watch one of those videos that I released recently. We covered an article where where they were talking about how these agencies were doing audits and they discovered that certain banks were lying about their uninsured deposits. Why would that be? Well, if you're heavy in uninsured deposits and there's ever a bank run or a crisis of any kind, which we're going to get into in a later video, then that's going to be very problematic. Very, very problematic. All right. Uninsured deposits are what take banks down, destroys them. The Fed is not going to be able to help them. There's just too much. All right. And that's not even taking into account the shadow bank problem that they have. And let me tell you something. You saw what happened with China just recently with the shadow bank problem, right? United States has a just as big, if not bigger, a shadow bank problem. So now you pair the shadow bank problem, and listen, you don't have to take my word for anything. Look all of this up for yourself. You get a little free time. Question everything. Question me on everything. I don't care who it is. But if you saw what happened with China in the shadow bank problem, the U.S. has a similar shadow bank problem. They're just, it's so crazy to me. You know, I would think that China will have more control over information, but actually United States keeps their information well controlled. Yeah, no. You better not say certain things. They don't promote certain videos and certain information, so the news doesn't get out there. So the people are unaware that this problem exists. You get where I'm going with that? All right, let's move to this next article here. So now that you heard about their profitability being injured, let's apply that to this article here. This is from thesun.com, and it says, it's titled, Major Bank Follows Bank of America and Will Close 6th Branch in Weeks Due to Customers Changing Preferences. Now, look how they clarify major bank, because we've been covering for months all of these different banks closing a multitude of branches. Why do you think that is? Remember the last article, profitability? But what do they say here? See, they try to really redirect the energy of the people in the minds of the people to throw you off guard, really don't let you know what's going on. They will never tell you they're doing bad. That's not going to happen, right? So they say a bank is set to close its doors due to changing customer preferences. The Santander Bank branch is due to close in mid-September. Scroll down here, get past this little picture. Its location in Harrisburg, Pennsylvania will be consolidated with a nearby branch in East Pennsboro Township. According to Penn Live, Santander is a bank founded in Spain that operates over 600 bank branches across the U.S. The bank stated that they will look to further digitize their operations in line with customer preferences. That's a lie, or it's a partial truth. Really, you know, a lot of these entities, they go by the idea that all truth are but half truth anyway. But it's not about customer preferences. Once again, like the other article said, which was written by CNN.com, it's all about profitability. The profit of the deposit flight, unrealized losses, they have to cut something out. Shut those branches down. Let's go digital, save a lot of capital. This is why the new financial system is going to be so big. If it continues to go according to plan, that is, because they're going to be able to save capital, cut costs, play with that capital that they saved, and generate new means of capital. And they're going to unlock a lot of value from things that are otherwise illiquid. This is what it's all about, people. All right. This is why they're all of these banks. There's been a lot of them closing branches down. We spoke about it last year. Now they're actually doing it. A lot of things we've spoken about are being actualized now. All right. So Santander said, like many industries, our customers' preferences have changed, with more customers choosing to bank with us online. You believe that? Well, yeah, a lot of people do use online offerings. They also are in the branches as well, especially older people, which according to all of this data, there's such a huge swath of the population that are baby boomers and older and such. And a lot of individuals like to go into the branches. It's not about that. It's about money at all times. Powerful entities like that are not about helping the people. They're about making capital at all times in all possible ways. So now that you have the information, what are you going to do with it? I know what I'm going to do with it. So until next time, let's get to the money.